Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple Remembrance Service today, April 27, 2025. My name is Annette Tashiro, and I will be your MC. We will begin with the ringing of the temple bell, or Kansho, that signifies the beginning of a temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seat. If you're able, please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and English. It is found in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 7. Please be seated. Next, Reverend Saul will do the Sambu Jo. You can follow along on page 9 in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book.
Before the shrine of Amida Buddha to commemorate and observe this monthly memorial service of our departed loved ones attainment of Buddhahood and Nirvana. As we chant the sacred words of the Buddha, let us meditate on the virtues of our beloved ones and those who have preceded us to the pure land of peace and tranquility and gratefully receive the last Dharma lesson on impermanence. May we fully awaken to the infinite compassion and wisdom of our beloved spiritual parent, Amida Buddha. Namo Kie Butsu, I take refuge in the Buddha. Namo Kie Ho, I take refuge in the Dharma. Namo Kie So, I take refuge in the Sangha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
We will now have the remembrance of those individuals who passed away in the month of April of any year. Reverend Kalu will hit the gong or the Dai King several times to start. Then the names of the deceased will be announced. Please go forward and just to offer incense. Then Reverend Kalu will hit the gong again for the names. After the last name is called and the incense offered, he will hit the gong several times. We will then go directly into the Sutra, Praises of the Buddha, in the Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 112. Michael Keys. Harumi and Kiyomi Yamamoto. Seisho Yonamine and Jesse Christensen. Wali Kusano and Sadao Uno. Shizuko Kanda. There are 6 extended family names: Himo Ikuta, Carol Kawahara, Pedro Tuzan, Mitsuo Inaba, Tome Yanagisawa, and Neil Miyasato. And lastly, we have Isamu Miyamoto.
Your face shines in great splendor, boundless, wondrous dignity. Such the greatness of your light, beyond all comparison. Brightness of the sun and moon, and the shining many jewels, when compared to your brilliance, seem to us like blackest ink. Tathagata's countenance transcends all comparison. The great voice of awakening resounds through the 10 quarters. Your precepts, learning, effort, meditation, wisdom are virtues beyond all compare, ultimate, supreme, and rare. Your deep meditation has fathomed all the Dharma sea, through the limits and the depths of all things the Buddhas teach. Ignorance, anger, and greed, the world honored one has none. Like a lion among men, measureless your great virtue, vast are your great virtuous deeds, wisdom deep and so sublime. Your radiant luminous light shakes all the world's foundations. When I become a Buddha, equal to the Dharma King, I will transcend birth and death, liberating all being, my giving disciplined mind, precepts, patience, and effort, meditation, and wisdom shall be supreme, unsurpassed. I will attain Buddhahood, everywhere fulfill my vow, bringing to all those in fear great peace and tranquility. Though there are myriad Buddhas, beyond measure, beyond count, and great sages numberless, like the grains of Ganges sands, I will honor each of them equally, accepting none. Even more importantly, I will seek the supreme way, even though all Buddha worlds are countless as Ganges sands, even though all lands and realms are boundless without measure, yet my light shall reach them all and illumine every place. Such shall be my perfect work, such my power infinite. When I attain Buddhahood, my land will be first and best, place of practice transcendent, its people sublime and rare, land equal to nirvana, beyond all comparison, with pity for everyone, I will carry all across, all who come from 10 quarters to be born into my land, to attain pure joyful mind, peace and great tranquility. Be my witness, Buddha, please confirm my sincerity. Now that I have made my vows, I will strive to fulfill them. Buddhas of the 10 quarters, with your wisdom unhindered, may all of these honored ones know my deepest intention, even though my body must bear great pain and suffering. I will persevere and strive patiently without regret. virtue of Amida's vow is shared equally by all, together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Namanda, 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 namanda.
If you're able, please rise for the recitation Homages in the Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 2. Hard it is to be born into human life. Now we are living in it. Difficult it is to hear the teaching of the Blessed One. Now we hear them. If we do not gain emancipation in this present life, we may not be free from interfering in the ocean of births and death for the kalpas. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures.
We go
to the Buddha for guidance. We may always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. We go to the Dharma for guidance. And we submerge in the depth of the teaching and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. We go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all, one accord, live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selflessness. Even through myriads of kalpas, hard it is to hear such excellent and profound teachings. Now we are able to hear and receive them. Let us try to understand the Tathagata's teachings.
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo no, Namo no, Namo.
Please continue to stand for the Gatha, Children in Japan, in the Praises of the Buddha book on page 41. Please be seated. Our Dharma Talk together, our speaker is our minister, Reverend Saul Kalu.
Hello. Okay, Ken, all right. Let's put our hands together and Kansho. Easily seen is the fault of others, but one's own fault is difficult to see. Like chaff, one winnows another's faults, but hides one's own, even as a crafty fowler hides behind sham branches. Words of the Shakyamuni Buddha from the Dhammapada. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning and aloha everyone, and thank you for your presence again this morning. And it looks like we are having a nice day today, and it's beginning to be the start of summer, I suppose, yeah? That's going to be next month, so we're looking forward to maybe probably another very hot summer season. I don't know if some of you really took time to notice spring when it came. Yeah? Maybe not. Okay, they all look alike here in Hawaii, yeah? But in the mainland it's different because spring heralds the onset of new life. It's a time of renewal, and we notice life coming back with the advent of warmer weather. We can see flowers bloom again, leaves growing back on empty tree branches, and animals coming out of their winter hibernation. We should at least stop and spend a moment noticing these wondrous natural occurrences. Doing so enables us to appreciate life, not just our own human life, but also those of other beings that surround us, like insects, birds, stray chickens, and of course, plant life as well. With proper mindfulness, we can see the interdependence of all life forms and how we relate to them in accordance with the Dharma, the teaching on the oneness of all life. Appreciation of the beauty of nature is not just an act of viewing with the eyes, but also with the sense organ as well. We can smell the fragrance of flowers, hear the singing of birds, the buzz of insects, feel the warmth of the sun on our skin, and the taste of newly ripened fruit picked off a tree. But we can only enjoy the world around us if everything is agreeable to our sense organs. If the sunlight is blocked by clouds, or if it's rainy, if instead of the fragrance of flowers we smell something unpleasant like the stench of rotten garbage, or the fruit we just picked off the tree turned out to be sour and inedible, our mood and perception quickly change. It is because our minds have been programmed and conditioned by nature to accept that which is pleasing to the senses and reject unpleasant sensations. It is nature's way to protect us from potential harm. For example, rejecting an unpleasant tasting fruit which could be poisonous, or avoiding the stink of decaying matter which harbors disease-causing bacteria and viruses. This is useful for our survival, but unfortunately, such conditioning without the proper wisdom sometimes leads to excessive desires for that which is pleasing and rejecting the unpleasant to the detriment of the well-being of others. The real world is not all pleasure nor all pain. No matter how pleasant or difficult it appears to us at the moment. The human realm we are living now, according to the Buddhist teaching of the 6 realms of existence of samsara, is a perfect balance of pain and pleasure. But because of our blind passions, our desires, we tend to avoid addressing the unpleasant realities of life and go after pleasures alone. How we see the world is distorted by the limitations of our unenlightened mind. It is distorted due to our blind passions or bonno. We are foolish human beings who looked at the world from our egocentric point of view. We are always number one. We think we are separate from the world and the best in everything. An example of that would be like looking in the mirror. I can say with 99% accuracy that most, if not all of you, looked in the mirror as one of the first things you did when you got up this morning to prepare for going to the temple. Am I right? Who here would look at the mirror? Maybe make it 100% then, okay? Now in Buddhism, it is said that there are 3 mirrors by which a person can look at the reflection of the world around him. Not literal mirrors, but spiritual ones that reflect our views of the world around us. The first mirror is the mirror of the ego. This is just like a regular mirror or looking glass that when one looks at it, he sees his own face or image. But because this is the mirror of the ego, the viewer sees an inaccurate picture of himself or herself in it. The face is reflected as is, physically, but the mirror does not reflect the person's inner spirit or kokoro. So the inside is not reflected, it's only the outward appearance. And the image seen is perceived differently by the viewer. An egocentric person will see only a beautiful, spotless image of himself, handsome, or beautiful if she's a lady, young and healthy. Any imperfections like wrinkles or gray hair will be conveniently denied or cosmetically fixed. What's worse, this egocentric mind sees others' faults and imperfections, but not those of him or herself. There is a story that goes, an elderly, self-centered woman was looking out from her home at her next door neighbor's house and said, "How pathetic my neighbor is, that lady. She doesn't clean her yard or trim the hedges around her house." But this egocentric woman was all the while looking at her neighbor's house through a hole in her glass window, which she neglected to fix herself. We have a saying in our culture in the Philippines that goes like this: before you try to wipe the dirt off another man's face, remove the grime off your own face first. This is true and applies to any culture in the world. The second mirror is the mirror of the discriminating mind. When one looks in this looking glass, he not only sees himself, but other people as well. People that he knows and doesn't know. But the reflections on the mirror classify people as either friend or enemy, good or bad, liked or hated. For it is the discriminating mind that is looking at the mirror and making the differentiation. And the differentiation constantly changes as the situation changes. This is none more apparent than in our world politics. Our country's allies today may become our enemies in the future, and vice versa. Governments in some countries support brutal dictators or opposition groups as long as these dictators or opposition groups serve the interests of the supporting government. When they are no longer useful, they themselves become the target of elimination by the foreign government that once supported them. In our everyday lives, we can observe this too. We may like a person, let's say our boss or supervisor, because everything was nice from the start. However, when our boss or supervisor did something we didn't like or made us do something we didn't want to do, that feeling of friendship turns to one of revulsion or outright hatred, depending on the circumstance. Those who are nice to us and do us favors and other things, we call them friends. Those who do not do our bidding or do something we do not like, we call them enemies. Never mind that both friends and enemies are the same human beings with imperfections and nonetheless. The way we feel about other people and events that happen around us is not fixed and always changing from like to dislike and back to like again as the situation dictates. And that is true not just towards people, but to other things too. Like our job, for example. A person may start out enjoying and liking his work, but because certain situations develop or change in his work that are not to his liking or no longer serve his interest, sooner or later, that person would want to quit his present job and do something else, or maybe go back to his former line of work. As in politics, our friends today may become our enemies tomorrow. The discriminating mind is also the mind that judges so easily based on hearsay or on the testimony of one person alone in a dispute or argument. Too easily, that mind makes conclusions without verifying the facts of an argument and condemns the side that was never given a chance to present his case. The discriminating mind becomes the judge, the jury, and executioner all at the same time. The third mirror in Buddhism is one that we foolish sentient beings do not possess, or even if we do, we are not capable of understanding the reflections that this mirror projects. This is the mirror of the Dharma. It reflects reality as it truly is, unhindered by the imperfections of the mundane world of delusion. And of course, this is the mirror that Amida and all the other Buddhas possess. In this mirror, the reflections are all of us, sentient beings, but the reflections are not tainted by the egoistic or discriminating mind. This mirror shows us for what we really are. In other words, the Buddha sees through this mirror our true, quote-unquote, human selves. And that is, we are beings of blind passions, full of anger, greed, and ignorance, the three poisons of Buddhism. We are incapable of ever escaping the cyclic rounds of birth and death in our world of samsara through our own efforts. We are drowning in suffering because of our inability to see that our own unwholesome actions create negative karmic consequences. We possess all of these negative human traits of greed, jealousy, hatred, and insensitivity towards the suffering of others. I once read a book on Chinese Buddhism, and in that book, it says that we unenlightened, foolish, sentient beings are seen by the Buddha as something comparable to flies in a garbage dump. We see flies or roaches congregating and feeding on rotting, smelly garbage, or even worse things, and what do we feel? We feel disgust, don't we? We say to ourselves, oh, these flies and roaches are filthy creatures. Why would they feed on or could even stand the smell of rotten, stinking things? It's natural for them to feed on such things, true, but then they also have the ability to eat much cleaner, less stinking food, like when they land in our newly cooked meals uninvited. They consistently do these things, which we think are disgusting because they are not aware of the unwholesomeness of what they're doing. They lack the capability for thinking. Another example of that would be our pet dogs and cats drinking dirty water from rain puddles, or a mouse or a rat getting killed or captured in a trap because of its ignorance of what happens when it eats the bait. We human beings are doing the same thing when we act out of ignorance of the consequences of our actions. We don't know or cannot understand the law of cause and effect, and so we think it's okay to do unwholesome things which actually lead to our suffering. What we might think is pleasant or good may turn out to be a cause of so much misery in our lives because we do not know or refuse to acknowledge that our acts are unwholesome. For example, we go to Walmart early in the morning And maybe there's not a lot of people yet there, and we're tempted to, just take something up, put it in our shopping bag without paying for it. Yeah, we think that's okay, but all the while there are security cameras aimed at us, and we get caught. So we suffer. Amida and the other Buddhas see us foolish beings the same way we see filthy flies and other insects, but with one big difference, okay? Rather than feel disgust and revulsion, the Buddhas view us through the eyes of compassion. They feel our pains and sufferings and want to awaken us from our ignorance. When Amida Buddha understood this human frailty, out of boundless compassion, the primal vow was made as a means, actually our only way of getting out of this delusional world and reach nirvana or the pure land. We are made aware that we are unenlightened, foolish beings, or bombu, and by that realization, we are made to understand that only through the power of the primal vow are we able to reach the other shore of enlightenment. This is the view from the mirror of the Dharma. In the many years of my involvement with Jodo Shinshu, I have encountered some people who react negatively whenever the word evil, quote unquote, or foolish being, quote unquote, is used to describe us unenlightened beings, including ourselves, of course. I've heard comments like, I'm not foolish, I'm not an evil person. This reaction could be due to the use of the word evil, which in other religious traditions means a person who deliberately does evil things on purpose. Evil in Buddhism could also mean just being unenlightened and ignorant, thus creating negative karmic consequences. Other comments I have heard are, gee, when the Buddha's light of wisdom illuminates us as beings of being foolish, it is kind of depressing. Yeah, I'm a foolish being. Well, it may be so. It is depressing, but only if we think that being foolish, full of blind passions, unenlightened, is what we really are ultimately. Are we really that ultimately, just beings of blind passions, nothing else? If the true self means our true unchanging essence, it is indeed depressing because it means we cannot be changed. Let's say I say to myself, I am a foolish, unenlightened being, that is my true self. No hope. Salvation is not possible. True means real. Cannot be altered. Otherwise, it is not true. So when you say, this is me, this is my true self, well, you are hopeless, right? You cannot be changed. But I like to think that our human form is not our true self. Our real essence is Buddhahood. It is because our ultimate nature is that of Buddhas that we should not stop at the human level, but rather aspire for enlightenment and Buddhahood. Okay? Go beyond what we are right now. And the first step to that is to realize the limits of our own self-power. We acknowledge that we cannot do anything to improve ourselves spiritually, to reach enlightenment. Shinran Shonin went on through that experience of one thought moment of realization that he was an ignorant, foolish being, but he did not get depressed. Rather, that realization made him aware that it is precisely because he is incapable of doing any genuine good act and hell is his only destination, that the primal vow was made for him alone. The primal vow was made for him alone. That's what he said. It may sound arrogant, but Shinran was speaking for himself, not for a group of people. We once had a slogan in our bulletin board at the Betsu Inn, neatly written in kanji and hiragana, that says, Jippo no nyorai wa shijo o ishi no gotoku ni rennensu. The meaning of that is the Tathagatas of the 10 quarters compassionately regard each sentient being as their only child. Thus, we too, as an only child, can say to ourselves that Amida's primal vow is directed towards us alone, or to me alone. We can safely say that, who are incapable of attaining birth in the Pure Land through self-power. I am an only child of Amida and the other Buddhas, so their compassion is directed solely towards me alone. So now we have discussed the 3 mirrors of the looking glass of Buddhism. The first 2 are the mirrors of the ego and the discriminating mind. Unfortunately, we cannot break them because they are the mirrors of our blind passions. But the last one, the Dharma mirror, is the true mirror of ourselves as human beings. And by the light of the Buddha's wisdom, we are able to cut through the delusions and realize our true ultimate nature of Buddhahood. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Namo Namo. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Reverend Kalu. If you are able, please stand for the Gatha, Quest of Life in the Praises of the Buddha Book on page 164. And please continue to stand for the Nembutsu in the same Praises of the Buddha Book on 145.
entrust themselves to Amida's vow of great compassion should all say Namo Amida Butsu constantly, whether they are waking or sleeping. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Ando, Namo Ando, Namo.
You may be seated. We're now having announcements by our President, Dennis Tashiro.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Saul, for that interesting message. I always thought there were only two mirrors. I like to look in the mirror, make myself look good. But yeah, someday maybe I'll find that third mirror. Thank you, Annette, for being the MC today. Thank you, Bob, for being our greeter. Thank you, Lisa, of course, for playing the piano, and Ryan for recording this service. Next Sunday, May 4th, will be our first Sunday family service. So after refreshments, we'll have an intergenerational activity. It will also be birthday Sunday. Prudence, I didn't get to ask you, but do you have... We'll have something. Okay. Surprise. Last week I delivered 201 pounds of food and $145 to the Hawaii Food Bank. To those who participated in our spring food drive event, thank you for your generosity. Musical notes. It's twice a year newsletter put out by the music committee of the Hongwanji, Hawaii's Office of Buddhist Education. And again, it's called Musical Notes. The April edition includes news from the Honolulu and Oahu districts, temples, including Windward Buddhist Temple. And it features our piano virtuosos, Lisa and Joy. I placed a copy on our bulletin board, so if you have a chance, look at it. It's, I don't know, about eight or 10 pages, but interesting reading to see not only Lisa and Joy there, but to see what other temples are doing. Kailua Service Care event, event of feeding the houseless. Today after the service, after we have refreshments, we'll be preparing snack bags. And then on Tuesday, we're going to be preparing hot plate lunches and serving houseless individuals at the Daybreak Church up along Pali Highway next to the YMCA. If you're able to help today, please, Joyce Nishita is in charge of this project, so she'll lead us in doing the bagging of the snacks. Then on Tuesday, some of us will be here at 7 to start the rice and get things started. But if you're available and you could help us, maybe if you could come by, say 7:30, we'll put all the plates together, and then we'll deliver them to Daybreak Church, and we'll serve approximately 50 individuals. Okay, it's been something we've been doing for several years now, and it's really been a kind of a good feel kind of thing. And the good thing too is the people that do get the food express their appreciation. So it's a wonderful event to get involved with. So again, if you can make it Tuesday, please come and help. If any questions, you can see Joyce. Is there anything, did I miss anything, Joyce? Okay. April 22nd, earlier this week, it was Earth Day. Windward Buddhist Temple has its own Earth Day project, and we will be doing a cleanup along Ku'ule Road on Saturday, May 10. A sign-up sheet is on the back table. This is something we've been doing for several years, and in a little way, we're trying to help our earth remain green and not full of rubbish. So if you could help out on the 10th of May, please sign up. When you come, just, dress comfortably. Be sure to wear, probably shoes is the best thing, but maybe put a hat on, wear some sunscreen, and your Windward Buddhist Temple t-shirts. Okay. Are there any other announcements? If not, it's time for refreshments. Let's do the words of thanksgiving. It'll be up on the screen. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people in all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you.